Go away, Mom. You're done here. This is their house now. Jared's voice cracked through the hallway like a gunshot. Then the suitcase flew, bounced down the steps, popped open, my clothes spilling out like a kicked-over donation bin. Behind him, Alana's parents were already in my bedroom, drinking from my wedding china, the teacups I'd unwrapped in 1980 with my husband's hands over mine. I didn't beg. I bent down, zipped the suitcase shut, and straightened my spine. Because what Jared didn't know, what none of them knew, was that tucked deep inside my overnight bag, between the folded flannel and my blood pressure pills, was a black folder. A quiet little weapon. Inside it, receipts, transfers, one signature that would burn it all to the ground. I stood on the porch and looked at the door he'd just slammed in my face. The same door I'd decorated with holiday wreaths for 32 years, now closed to me like I was a stranger. "You should have left when we asked nicely," Alana said behind the glass, her lips curling. I waited. 1 beat. 2. I wanted to see if Jared would come back, open the door, take it back, call me Mom, one last time. He didn't. He turned off the porch light. So I picked up my things, walked down those steps, and didn't look back. Not even once. Let them celebrate. Let them think they won. Let them settle into my house and toast their little victory, because I hadn't lost my home. They'd just signed the eviction notice on themselves. And in exactly 48 hours, they'd learn what happens when you try to bury someone like me. You better make sure I'm dead. But let's back up. It wasn't always like this. He used to fix my garden fence without being asked. Showed up every Sunday with pie from Nellie's Diner. Banana cream, my favorite, even though he hated bananas. He'd kiss my cheek and say, "How's my girl?" Now he calls me Helen, like I'm the neighbor. Like I was never the woman who scraped together rent and groceries for 12 years straight so he could finish school without knowing we were broke. That's when the pattern started coming into focus. First, they forgot my birthday. Not late, not belated, just blank. No text, no card, not even a generic Facebook post. I spent the day eating stale carrot cake from the grocery store, candles shoved into a plastic lid, sitting in silence with my feet in a bucket of warm water. Then they canceled Christmas. Alana sent a group text, the kind where everyone else's name was visible, except mine. "We're simplifying this year. No big gatherings, just nuclear family." Hope that makes sense. I was standing in line at the post office when I read it, and I realized she didn't just make a new group chat. She made a family without me in it. They started treating me like a guest, one who'd overstayed. My pantry shelf got smaller. My bathroom towels were replaced with hers. I went to reach for the olive oil one evening, and it was gone, replaced with something organic that smelled like grass and judgment. But nothing hit me harder than what I saw that Thursday afternoon. I was cleaning the front closet, my closet, when I found a taped-up box that hadn't been there before. It was labeled in black marker, "Donate old stuff." Inside, my wedding album, the photo of Jared's first steps, my husband's cufflinks, and a sealed envelope marked "Helen's stuff, if she wants it." Not Mom, not Mother, just Helen. Like a leftover tenant, I didn't even say anything. I just sat on the floor, holding that envelope, while the cold from the tiles soaked into my legs. That same day, Jared knocked lightly and said, "Hey, quick favor. Can you step out for a bit while Alana's parents settle in? Just for the weekend." I nodded. No fight left. But when I came back on Monday morning, earlier than planned, the door was locked. And my key? Didn't work. "I rang the bell," Alana answered in Jared's hoodie. "Sleep must hair," smiling. "Oh," she said, eyes cool. "You weren't supposed to be back yet?" And behind her? Where my room used to be. Fresh paint. New linens. My teacups on a tray. It was no longer a visit, it was a takeover. I stood on the porch, looking past Alana into what used to be my room. She didn't move to let me in. Just raised one eyebrow, like I was the problem now. Like I'd missed a memo about whose house this really was. My fingers tightened around the handle of my suitcase. And for the first time in weeks, I smiled. Because they thought I had nowhere to go. They thought they were done with me. What they forgot, or maybe never bothered to ask, was what I did for a living before they decided I was just a freeloader with thinning hair and soft knees. I was a forensic auditor, 40 years of digging through lies dressed as numbers. I'd found stolen pensions buried under 6 shell companies and caught CEOs laundering money through janitorial services that didn't exist. They thought I wouldn't notice a few missing documents. They thought wrong. The day I left, the first time, the quiet time, I took exactly what I needed. Just one bag and a black folder they never even saw. Inside, $48,000 in transfers Jared initiated in my name, my signature forged on a mortgage refinance I never signed, and the kicker, a life insurance policy with my name crossed out. Replaced with Alana's. That policy was mine. I paid the premiums every year since 1991. It was supposed to go to Jared only if I passed, and only if he wasn't involved in fraud. They'd changed it 2 months after Alana's parents moved in, and I had the paperwork to prove it. My hands didn't shake as I walked away from that house, because I wasn't walking away. I was stepping back far enough to light the whole thing on fire, legally. That afternoon, I booked a room at the old Westfield Inn, the one with the plastic plants in the lobby and the mint that's always half melted on the pillow. It didn't matter. I had what I needed, I had the receipts, I had the folder, and I had a name, Carla, the mortgage officer at First Mid Bank. She used to babysit Jared when she was 17. I still remembered her braces and her scratchy ponytail. Now, she handled every high-value mortgage in the Tri-County area. I dialed her number with a steadiness that surprised even me. "Hi, Carla. It's Helen Grace. I have something you're going to want to see." And as I zipped up that folder, I whispered, more to myself than anyone, "They bury me on paper." Now I dig up every lie they ever told. Carla met me the next morning at First Mid's side entrance, the one with the frosted glass and no cameras. She hadn't changed much. Still wore her long hair in a tight ponytail, still walked like she didn't have time for nonsense. She didn't even sit before opening the folder. Her eyes scanned the forged refinance document, then the insurance change, the transfers. She looked up, jaw tight. "Felony," that was the first word out of her mouth. Not mistake. Not, not maybe. Felony. She pulled my credit report with a few keystrokes and turned the monitor toward me. "Here's the bomb. 2 more loans. Different banks. Both tied to my social security number. Both with forged signatures." My stomach dropped. I hadn't co-signed a thing in over a decade, not since Jared's first fixer-upper, back when he still called to ask for advice. Back when he said things like, "Love you, Mom," before hanging up. Carla turned the screen back toward her and typed something I couldn't see. "Jared used your name as collateral. Twice. One of them's a line of credit that's being used right now." She clicked a few more times. "For home renovations. Home. My home. That wallpaper I saw behind Alana when she cracked the door open. The new kitchen tile I barely recognized through the crack. They were using my credit to renovate my house. Do I have any legal standing?" I asked quietly, voice steady. Carla snorted. "Do you have standing? Helen, you're standing on a mountain of federal crimes." She slid her notepad toward me. "You need 3 things. A lawyer, a forensic doc specialist, and time-stamped credit pulls to prove you didn't authorize any of this." I looked at the scribbled names and numbers. Norma. Legal. Benji. Doc specialist. Her own initials next to pulls. Done. I nodded. Carla folded her arms. "You want my opinion? Go quiet. Don't tip them off. Let them keep thinking you're the sweet old lady with nowhere to go, then bury them in affidavits." I walked out of that bank with 2 things I didn't have before: a team and a plan. They thought I was gone. They thought I was done. But the woman they kicked out in slippers? She just walked into a bank and came out with ammunition. Let them finish repainting my bedroom. They're building the stage where I'll take everything back, piece by piece. Back in the motel that night, I spread Carla's notes across the table like battle plans. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I made a list. Step 1, reverse the fraudulent loans. Step 2, legally remove Jared and Alana from my property. Step 3, expose everything. to both families, his side, her side. I wanted them all to hear it. I wanted to say the words in a room so quiet they couldn't pretend not to understand. Step 4. Reclaim the title. Make them repay every dime. And not just because it's right, because I earned that house, brick by brick, bill by bill, memory by memory. I built a home while Jared was still picking jelly beans out of his overalls. Now he was trying to erase me from it. But here's the thing about erasing someone like me. You have to be smarter than the woman who balanced your books, packed your lunches, and fought the IRS on her own in 1998. And won. I spent the next day making calls, quiet ones. Norma, the lawyer Carla recommended, was brisk, sharp, and didn't waste a syllable. "You're not suing," she said, flipping through the documents over speakerphone. "You're seizing." I liked her instantly. Benji, the document analyst, sounded like he hadn't seen daylight in 5 years. But when he said, "Yeah, this signature's a fake. Stroke pressure's all wrong, even on the J," I knew I had my proof. By nightfall, I had affidavits in process, a cease and desist letter drafted, and a call scheduled with the county recorder's office first thing Monday morning. That weekend, I walked to a nearby copy shop and printed 6 full packets, each one with the documents, each one with the forged loan papers, each one with Jared's smiling face on the authorized signatory line he thought I'd never see. I placed the packets in a red folder, right fire engine red, and tucked them into my tote. Because when I take back my life, I won't do it in whispers. I won't throw punches. I won't raise my voice. I'll do it with facts, with law, with signatures that weren't mine. I'll walk into that house one more time, not to beg, not to plead, but to serve. They buried me in paperwork. Now I bury them in truth. Monday morning, I walked into the recorder's office with a travel mug of lukewarm motel coffee and a calm I hadn't felt in weeks. Norma had called ahead. The clerk behind the plexiglass took one look at my ID, paused, then said, "You're Helen Grace?" I nodded. "Unless someone else is walking around in these orthopedic flats." She didn't laugh. Instead, she turned to her computer, typed something, frowned, then turned back to me, this time with eyes wide. I'm sorry, but according to this affidavit, you're deceased." I blinked. "Excuse me?" She spun the screen around. There it was. On official county record, residence transfer affidavit, deceased, April 2nd, 2024, filed by Jared Grace, witnessed by Alana, approved, somehow, by a notary who I had never even heard of. I stared at my own legal death, time-stamped and notarized, like I was a filing error. I was alive. I was baking cookies for their daughter that day. I was watering the basil. I was right there. And they had killed me on paper. They didn't just evict me, I whispered, more to myself than the clerk. They erased me. Back at the motel, I laid out the new paperwork beside the rest, like a puzzle finally showing its picture. The false refinance, the forged loans, the insurance switch. Now this. They weren't trying to edge me out. They were clearing the board. With me, legally dead, Jared had full control of the deed. Alana could access the insurance policy. And they'd prepped the story, the grieving son, the poor widow's last wishes, no family left to claim the home. It was clean, too clean. I called Norma. "Check your email," I said, my voice flat. "They killed me on record." There was a pause. Then we bury them in court. She told me to stop everything else. "We go quiet now," she said. "Let them keep walking toward the cliff." But I didn't stay entirely quiet. That night, I sent one text to Jared. No words, just a photo. Me, holding that affidavit, smiling. And under it, I wrote, "Dead mothers don't sue. But I'm not dead. See you soon." They wanted a clean slate. Now I give them a courtroom. The voicemail came the next morning. "Mom?" Jared said, voice tight, like he was trying to sound calm but couldn't quite fake it. "If you make this hard, we'll just get you declared unfit. Alana already talked to a specialist. We'll put you in assisted living, quietly." Then another voice came on. "Alana, you won't even know it's happening," she said, with a smugness that clung like mildew. "We're doing this for you." I sat on the motel bed, phone pressed to my chest, listening to it one more time. Then, one more. And just like that, my worst fear from 3 years ago clicked into place. Back when Jared started saying things like, "Mom, you misplaced your keys again," or "She's getting forgetful, right?" to the cashier when I fumbled for change. They weren't harmless comments. They were planting a narrative. Alana didn't want me out of the house. She wanted me somewhere no one would ask questions. A facility. A home. A soft, padded prison where guardianship paperwork would be signed while I watched Wheel of Fortune. And Jared? The same boy who once held my hand while crossing streets was now planning to lock me away with a signature and a diagnosis. I didn't scream. I copied the voicemail. Then I sent it to 3 people. Norma, for court, naturally. The local news tip line, the one always hungry for a family betrayal story. And the school board email, where Alana's mother served as a board member, touting family values in every PTA meeting. By noon, I'd received 2 responses. From Norma, "This is gold. Emotional coercion. Elder abuse. Put your coat on. We're going to war." And from the journalist, "Is this real? If so, I want the exclusive." I didn't hear back from the school board. Not yet. But I imagined the ripple already starting. Jared had poked a woman who used to dissect quarterly ledgers like autopsy reports. Alana had threatened someone who kept receipts like most people keep memories. They thought the motel meant I was weak. They thought gray hair and silence meant surrender. What they missed was this. I'd raised a son through a layoff, a mortgage crisis, and his father's cancer. I knew how to survive. Now I remembered how to fight. Let them come for me with claims of confusion and dementia. I have recordings. I have documents. And now I have momentum. Norma spread the documents across the table like a dealer laying down a royal flush. We were in her office now, quiet, carpeted, lined with file cabinets that probably held more secrets than the IRS. "There's enough here," she said, tapping her pen against the forged refinance, "to make them sweat." She slid over the next page. Another forged loan. Then another. Then she handed me the insurance form, the one where my name had been crossed out. "You said you'd had this policy since 1991? I nodded. "Auto-debited from my account. Never missed a payment. And yet," she said, "it now lists Alana Grace as primary beneficiary, filed 3 months after your husband's passing." Her mouth twitched into something between disgust and amusement. "That's not just fraud. That's ambition." I stayed quiet. Let her keep going. Because I could feel it coming. The turn. The document that would shift everything. Norma pulled out a thick envelope. Gold seal. My husband's initials on the flap. "My assistant found this in probate records," she said. "Filed with the original deed in 1986. Nobody looked at it because your name was still on everything until Jared buried you." She opened it gently. It was a clause, tucked into the original property documents. My husband's last will and testament, the full version. She read it aloud slowly. "If at any time Helen Grace's signature or approval is absent on any refinance or transfer of this property, full ownership reverts to her." I blinked. "Wait, what?" Norma looked up. "They buried you, legally, but in doing so they violated this clause." She sat back. "Jared filed everything in his own name. No co-signature. No permission. No power of attorney. My husband had built the safety net 38 years ago, and Jared, in his rush to cash me out, had cut straight through it. He hadn't just messed up. He'd disqualified himself." Norma folded her hands. "Here's the difference between suing and seizing. Suing is asking. Seizing is taking. We're not begging for justice. We're enforcing it." The silence hung for a moment. Then she said, flatly, "We won't sue. We'll seize." I nodded once. That was all. It was like feeling a key click into place after weeks of rattling the lock. The title? Coming back to me. The loans? About to collapse under the weight of fraud. Their confidence? Built on sand. And next? We don't sneak in. We walked through the front door. With copies. With names. With the law. And we do it at dinner. Alana's parents were throwing a housewarming dinner. A bold move, considering the ink hadn't even dried on Jared's crimes. They sent an actual invitation, floral cardstock, gold lettering, RSVP, by Thursday, like I was just some distant relative who might stop by with a bundt cake. I RSVP'd, yes. Then I requested a short toast. I could almost hear Alana's scoff through the paper. A toast? From the woman they locked out and declared dead? Perfect. I ironed my best blazer. The navy one with the structured shoulders. The one I wore the day I presented my audit findings to the IRS and watched 3 men resign before lunch. I packed the red folder. The copies. The affidavits. The forged refinance. The voicemail. And the will clause. All of it. I didn't tell Norma. Didn't need to. She'd be there. Not as my lawyer, but as my +1. She even brought a bottle of wine. For the table, she said. Not the toast. The house looked different. Brighter paint. New curtains. My hydrangeas gone. Ripped out, replaced with a trimmed little hedge that looked expensive and empty. They opened the door with forced smiles. Oh, Jared said, glancing over my shoulder. You brought a guest. I stepped inside without answering. The dining room was full. Alana's parents. Her sister. Jared's boss. Of all people. A few of their friends I barely recognized. All sipping wine, complimenting the lighting, pretending they didn't notice the tension stiffening the air. Jared raised a glass. To new beginnings, he said, with a grin so practiced it barely looked human. Everyone clapped. Alana beamed. I waited. Then I stood. Glass in one hand, folder in the other. To new beginnings, I echoed. And to old debts. The room quieted, like someone cut the audio. I'd like to toast, I said, turning slowly, to forged loans, fake debts, and what a mother remembers. Alana's fork stopped halfway to her mouth. Jared blinked, jaw twitching. I pulled a stack of papers from the folder and passed them to the person next to me. Go ahead, I said. Take one and pass it around. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. Each page landed like a hammer. The refinance form, the affidavit of my death, the transcript of the voicemail threatening to institutionalize me. The room didn't gasp. It froze. They thought I came to dinner. I came to serve the first course in a full-course reckoning. The papers made their way around the table like a deck of guilt being shuffled through stunned hands. Jared's boss looked pale. Alana's father blinked hard, trying to pretend he wasn't reading what he was reading. No one chewed. No one sipped. It was as if the room had forgotten how to function. Alana's mother put her copy down like it burned her fingers. Is this real? She whispered. Oh, it's real, I said. Every number, every signature, every lie. Alana tried to laugh. This is ridiculous. Obviously, Helen's confused. These are doctored. I pulled out the second packet. Stamped. Notarized. Time-stamped by the recorder's office in Carla's branch manager. Norma stood then, steady and quiet. She opened her own folder. Not red, but black. Sleek. Legal. This property, she said, addressing the room, is under active legal review for fraud, elder financial abuse, document forgery, and unlawful seizure of assets. Then she walked over and placed a letter in front of Jared, a single-page document. Eviction notice. Alana's mouth opened, but nothing came out. Jared's face. He still wasn't fully computing it. He stared down at the letter like he was looking at another language. You can't just kick us out, he finally muttered. You can't just... This is our... Not anymore, Norma said. The silence turned heavy, unbearable. And that's when I pulled out my phone. Some of you may still think this is a misunderstanding, I said. So let's clear up the tone of intent. I hit play. Jared's voice filled the room. If you make this hard, we'll just get you declared unfit. Then Alana's voice. You won't even know it's happening. I looked at them. I didn't blink, didn't flinch. You threatened to have me locked away. You declared me dead. You stole from me, from your own mother. And you did it with full confidence that I'd be too old, too tired, or too ashamed to fight back. Jared stood then, fast, clumsy. "This is out of control," he said. "You're twisting this, Mom." Alana whipped toward him. "You recorded it?" she hissed. He didn't answer, because liars only talk when they think they're still winning. I didn't need to say anything else, not to them. I turned back to the guests. Some were already collecting their things. One woman whispered, "Oh my God," under her breath. No one looked me in the eye, except Norma, who smiled. "They buried you in lies," she murmured. "Now they'll drown in the truth." No one ate after that. The roast sat untouched, steam rising like a ghost from a meal no one had the appetite for anymore. Alana sank into her chair, lips pressed together so tight they turned white. Jared stood stiff, frozen, holding the eviction notice like he could crumple it and time would rewind. Norma didn't sit. She took her time, handing out neatly printed copies of the legal documents to everyone in the room. Her voice never rose. She didn't explain anything twice. Fraud, elder abuse, forgery, simple words, heavy meaning. "This is not a family matter," she said to the room. "It's a criminal matter now." Jared's boss set his glass down without drinking. "You're telling me you filed your mother as deceased while she was alive? To take her house?" Jared opened his mouth, closed it. Alana's father asked, "Is this some mistake?" Norma shook her head. "No, the only mistake was thinking she wouldn't fight back. And then, for the first time," I spoke softly. "Oh, and just to be thorough," I said, reaching into my tote one last time, "there's a copy of the article running in the Naperville Chronicle tomorrow. Front page." I placed the proof printout in the center of the table. The headline read, "Mother declared dead on paper. Fights back, exposes family fraud." Jared's face turned ashen. Alana snapped toward him. "You said this wasn't going public." He didn't answer. "Because it wasn't supposed to. Not in their plan. Their plan was to slip me out of the picture like a silent retirement, a woman who just moved away quietly. What they got instead? A very public reckoning. Someone cleared their throat near the end of the table. Alana's sister. I think I'm going to head out," she said, standing awkwardly. "Probably best," Norma replied. One by one, the guests made excuses. Work in the morning. Babysitters. Traffic. They didn't want to be part of this fallout, just observers at the scene of a beautiful house burning from the inside out. When the door finally clicked shut behind the last guest, I stood. "You have 7 days," I said to Jared, "to vacate. Court orders are in motion. The title's reverting. The loans will collapse. And the restitution clock starts now." "You're ruining everything," Alana snapped, desperate now. "This was our future." "No," I said, calm and final. "It was mine, and you stole it. Now I'm taking it back." They didn't say a word as Norma and I left. But the next morning, Jared tried. He showed up at the motel like he thought I might still be soft. Like maybe, away from the house and the headlines, I'd be willing to forget it all. He knocked once. I opened the door, stood in the frame, didn't invite him in. "Mom," he started, trying to pull that old voice back, the one he used as a kid when he wanted to stay up past bedtime. "Can we talk? Just us?" I crossed my arms. "Talk." He took a breath, gave me that practice shrug, the one he used to diffuse arguments at school when he was 14. "Look, I didn't know Alana was going to take it that far. I just thought we were consolidating things, managing assets." I blinked. "Managing assets? You buried me, Jared, legally on paper." He looked down. "That part was a misunderstanding. You forged my name." Silence. "You refinanced my house." He shifted his weight. "It was still in the family. You threatened to institutionalize me." That's when the mask cracked. "I never meant to do that," he said, voice rising. "Alana, she pushed that part. You know how she gets. She was just trying to protect the house." I stepped forward. "No, don't you dare lay this at her feet. You filed the forms. You signed the papers. You stood there while they moved into my room." He ran a hand through his hair, eyes darting, looking for a crack. "You're my mom." Exactly. And that used to mean something. Then I reached into my pocket, pulled out my phone, tapped the screen. The voicemail played. The one with his voice, cool, rehearsed. If you make this hard, we'll just get you declared unfit. Alana's voice echoed through the phone next, clear and sharp. You won't even know it's happening. When it ended, Jared didn't say a word, didn't try to apologize again, didn't ask for mercy. He just stood there, hollow, because the truth had finally cut through the fantasy. Not even he believed his own story now. And Alana? She hadn't called, not once, because snakes don't check in on a corpse they already counted as buried. Problem was, I wasn't dead. I was just getting started. The first headline hit 2 days later. Mother declared dead in forgery plot by son and daughter-in-law. Property seized, investigation underway. The Naperville Chronicle printed it on the front page with a photo of me walking out of Norma's office, folder in hand, chin up. They used the word hero. I didn't flinch at that, but Jared did. By Thursday, he'd been placed on unpaid leave from his firm. By Monday, his job was gone entirely. Unethical conduct pending investigation. The HR email read, he'd worked there for 11 years. The same day, Alana's mother, school board president for the county, was suspended pending review after the voicemail surfaced. The board didn't like its members being linked to elder abuse. Neither did the PTA. The neighbors? They didn't say much, not to Jared or Alana, but I heard things. One neighbor told me their teen daughter was crying at the dinner table. That's what they did to Grandma Helen? She asked, horrified. Another said she canceled her dinner RSVP the night of my toast. I didn't know you could legally declare someone dead while they were baking cookies. I didn't correct her. And the church? The pastor called me personally. I want you to know we're here for you, he said. If you ever need anything, groceries, errands, we'll handle it. Which was funny, because last year Alana had pushed to get me removed from the Women's Circle email list, said I wasn't really active anymore. That list was reinstated. My name bolded at the top. I didn't smile at their downfall. Not quite, but I did feel resolved. Not revenge, recognition, because the worst part hadn't been the theft, or the forged signatures, or the lies. It was that moment, just a few weeks back, when I stood on the porch, locked out, suitcase on the steps, and saw my son close the door in my face. That betrayal didn't get undone by headlines or eviction notices, but it didn't own me anymore either. He can't undo what he did, but I can choose what comes next. The fallout wasn't fire and fury. It was ice. Slow, quiet, complete. And I stood in the center of it, not as a victim, but as the one thing they never saw coming. Prepared. The court order arrived on a Friday, crisp, stamped, and final. Jared and Alana were given 7 days to vacate the property. No appeals, no extensions. Norma and I walked the envelope straight to the courthouse ourselves. The clerk didn't even blink. She'd seen the article. She just nodded and said, "Took longer than I expected." Inside the envelope were 4 sentences that reversed every lie they tried to seal in concrete. Title fully returned to me. 2 fraudulent loans nullified due to forged signatures. Court-mandated eviction of Jared and Alana. Restitution of $54,800 ordered to be repaid over 5 years. I stood in court while Jared's lawyer tried to argue for leniency, citing family misunderstanding, emotional pressure, and my advanced age. Norma didn't raise her voice. She didn't have to. She simply submitted the voicemail, the recorder's affidavit, and Benji's analysis of the forged refinance papers. The judge barely looked up. "There is no misunderstanding here," she said. "Only manipulation, systematic, deliberate, and cruel." When it was over, Jared couldn't look at me. Not once. Alana just stared straight ahead, like if she didn't blink, she wouldn't cry. But tears wouldn't fix it. The house was mine again. My name. The only one on the title now. The insurance policy was restored, and the financial institutions had already begun clawing back the fake loans. The damage would take time to clear, but it was in motion. As for the restitution, it wasn't about the money. It was about the record. Every month, for the next 5 years, they'll have to remember. They'll have to write a check in my name, not as a gift, not as support, as debt. And under my new will, Jared and Alana inherit nothing. Not the house, not the accounts, not even the tea set Alana was so fond of sipping from in my bedroom like she'd won something. Thank you for listening to my story. Have you ever had someone in your own family betray you? Not with fists, but with paperwork and lies? Tell me in the comments.